Okay, so today we're going to take a deep dive into a story that sounds like it's straight out of Hollywood, but it actually happened.
Definitely stranger than fiction. Apartheid-era bank robbers.
Perfect. So picture this apartheid-era South Africa, a police captain, highly respected, part of the Johannesburg robbery unit. But here's the twist. He's secretly living a double life as a prolific bank robber.
Yeah, a real Jekyll and Hyde situation.
Absolutely. And for our listeners today, we really want to kind of unpack this incredible duality, get into the heart of Stander's story. What made him tick and why it continues to fascinate us all these years later.
It's a wild one.
So let's start with the basics, right? André Stander wasn't some small-time crook who stumbled into law enforcement. This guy was a captain in the police force. Well-regarded, seemingly intelligent, charming, the kind of guy you'd expect to be catching these criminals, not becoming one.
Exactly, and the irony is almost too perfect, isn't it?
It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about a conflict of interest.
Right, and what really gets me is that his position, his very role within the police, actually became a major asset in his criminal activities.
Oh, absolutely. He was using his knowledge of police procedure to basically outsmart the system he was a part of.
Precisely. He had that insider perspective on bank security. He knew how investigations worked, so he could plan these heists almost flawlessly. It's not just about daring, it's about using the system against itself.
It's mind-blowing, and we're talking about over 30 bank robberies between 1977 and 1980, so this wasn't just a one-off thing,
Oh,
right?
no, this was a pattern, a calculated spree.
But, okay, here's where it gets even crazier. Are you ready for this?
Hit me.
Some reports suggest that he actually committed some of these robberies during his lunch break from work.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, and then just went back to work afterward, like nothing happened. Or potentially even taking part in the investigation of his own crimes. I mean, talk about audacious.
The level of brazenness is just off the charts. How did he even manage the logistics of it all, let alone the psychological pressure?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, was it just pure thrill-seeking, a power trip, some kind of bizarre rebellion, or was it something more calculated, a way to exploit the system he knew so well?
It's hard to say for sure, but the sources definitely highlight that. How could he get away with that aspect? It was almost like he was taunting the authorities in a way.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like he was living out some kind of twisted fantasy, almost like a movie character.
It's true, there's a definite cinematic quality to his story.
Right. But reality eventually sets in, and in 1980, he gets arrested.
As he had to eventually.
Yeah, they hit him with a 75-year prison sentence.
Wow.
You'd think that would be the end of the story, right?
Yeah.
Justice served, case closed.
Mm-hmm.
But nope, this is André Stander we're talking about.
So what happened? He didn't exactly fade quietly into prison life?
Not at all. In 1983, he orchestrates an escape from Zonderwater prison.
No way.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't do it alone. He escapes with 2 other inmates.
So it becomes a gang thing.
Exactly. The Stander gang is born, and this marks a major shift in the story, right? We go from a lone wolf rogue officer to a full-blown notorious gang.
A whole new level of criminal enterprise.
Right, and they don't just lay low after the escape. They launch into this spree of what the sources describe as audacious robberies. They're making headlines. They're becoming this almost mythical public sensation known for their ability to evade capture.
Like they were playing a game of cat and mouse with the authorities.
Exactly, and you have to remember this is all happening against the backdrop of apartheid-era South Africa, a period of immense social and political tension. So the image of this gang outsmarting the police probably resonated with certain segments of the population.
Oh, I bet it did. It's not necessarily about condoning their crimes, but maybe it tapped into a sense of frustration or even defiance against the system.
Right. It's a complex issue, but it shows how criminal acts can sometimes intersect with larger societal feelings.
Absolutely.
But as you can imagine, this high-profile life on the run couldn't last forever. Stander ends up fleeing South Africa, crosses the ocean lands in the United States in 1984, ends up in Florida, of all places.
Trying to blend in, disappear, maybe start fresh.
Maybe, but it all comes to a head. That same year, in 1984, he's involved in a shootout with American police and is killed.
Wow, what a dramatic end.
Isn't it? Almost anticlimactic in a way. After
Yeah.
all the elaborate heists and daring escapes he's taken down in a foreign country, almost like the audacity that defined his criminal career ultimately led to his downfall.
It's almost Shakespearean in a way.
You know it is, and that's the thing about André Stander's story. It's so bizarre, so audacious, that it didn't end with his death in 1984. His story gets turned into a movie in 2003, simply titled Stander.
I've heard of that one. It really leans into the whole lawman turned outlaw thing, right?
It does, and it also explores the socio-political context of apartheid-era South Africa. It's without excusing his actions. It raises questions about whether the environment he was operating in contributed to his motivations, maybe a sense of disillusionment with the system itself?
It's a layer of complexity that's often missing in true crime stories.
Definitely. And it's important to note that the film presents this as a potential influence, not a simple explanation for his choices.
Right, it adds nuance to the narrative.
Okay, so let's recap for our listeners today. We've delved into the incredible story of André Stander, a respected police captain living a double life as a bank robber, using his insider knowledge to pull off daring heists even during his lunch break.
Unbelievable.
We talked about his audacious prison escape, the formation of the Stander Gang, their string of headline-grabbing robberies, and finally his escape to the U.S. and ultimately his death in that police shootout.
All within the tumultuous backdrop of Apartheid-Era South Africa, a setting that adds another layer of intrigue to the story.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I have a final thought for our listeners to ponder. What does André Stander's story tell us about human nature, about the motivations behind our choices? What does it say about the allure of rebellion, the complexities of power, and the impact of historical and political contexts on individual lives? It's a story that keeps you thinking long after the credits roll.
Absolutely, and it's a reminder that sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction.
Couldn't said it better myself.
Thanks for having me on for this deep dive.
As always, it's a pleasure, and to our listeners, we'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.
Peace out.
Bye.